Hey, what's up everyone? Recently I picked up a Mad Catz steering wheel for the Nintendo 64 at a thrift store for $14.99. Didn't know if it worked, but it's actually in really good shape, especially for something that's 25 years old. It was just piled in with all the kids' toys in the toy aisle. The steering wheel isn't too bad. It's not too small. It works like a rumble pack for certain games at times when you collide into things or drive off the road. It kind of counts as force feedback in my opinion. I took my Logitech G29 off the stand and put this thing on it. The steering wheel is not secured, but we'll see how it works. San Francisco Rush was developed by Atari Games and published by Midway Games. I received this game on Christmas Day in 1997. I had never played it before back then, but I played it a lot when I got it. I then started playing Rush at the arcades when I saw it. It's probably been over 20 years since I played San Francisco Rush with a steering wheel and pedals. And honestly, the graphics look shitty compared to the polish and smoothness of the arcade. And I always despised all the yellow and the Comic Sans looking font on the HUD. But all the imperfections aside, this is awesome. The control is pretty good and seems responsive. You can hear the rumbling on the steering wheel rattling against the stand. It's not the most pleasant sound to hear, but it adds to the experience for the player. You do have to go into the option menu and set your controller to the steering wheel option before you play. But once you do that, you are ready to race. Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA was an exclusive for the N64. It was released on November 10, 1998. I picked it up on the first day at an electronic boutique at the mall. This game has tracks in multiple cities such as New York City, Las Vegas, Honolulu, Seattle, and Alcatraz. Like the first San Francisco Rush, you gotta go to options, set up the controller to the steering wheel, and then you're good to go. The Alcatraz stage is my favorite Rush stage of all time. I used to love playing this at the Rush, the Rock Arcade. There were so many ramps and loops and secret paths. It really seemed like anything was possible. And you never really got enough time to play at the arcade, so it always left you wondering. Again, not as pretty as the arcade, but I am still super stoked to be able to experience playing this on a steering wheel and pedals again. Cruis'n USA is strange because you need to plug in the steering wheel on the second player's side If it's plugged in on the first player side, it will not boot up. So once you do that, you have to go to Options and go to Controller Setup and set your gas to A and your brake to B. You could pause it and do what I do if you want. I raised the steering sensitivity because I thought it needed it, but try to see what works for you. The Cruis'n USA arcade was originally released in 1994. It was developed by Eugene Jarvis Company, TV Games Inc., and manufactured by Midway Games. The game was released for the N64 in 1996. The game feels good, with the proper settings applied. I feel like I'm taking a road trip in the 1990s. The music is awesome. I love all the tracks here. This game really transports you back to another time. I don't know if it feels arcade perfect. I haven't played or seen a Cruis'n USA arcade in a very long time, but this is fun. Cruis'n World is the sequel to Cruis'n USA. The game takes place on a world tour that takes racers to Hawaii, Japan, China, Australia, Moscow, Kenya, Egypt, Germany, England, France, and ends in Florida, where you ride to the moon. There's more vehicles, they handle better, they've added stunts you can perform from wheelies to flips. You don't have to change your options on this game to play, I don't think. It seems to play just fine. I don't really have any complaints here. Ridge Racer 64 was developed by Nintendo Software Technology for the N64 in 2000. It features a total of 20 racetracks, which is a stretch because Ridge Racer counts tracks going forwards, backwards, mirrored, which is a real pain in the ass, and I think there's mirrored backwards. And they count those all as like different tracks, which to me, I don't think that really counts, but I always hated the mirrored tracks because it fucks with your head, because you'll memorize a track and then play the mirrored ones and everything is opposite. But many of the tracks included are from the original Ridge Racer and Ridge Racer Revolution. The control on this one feels really loose. Even on the joystick, it's pretty wonky, but with the wheel, it definitely takes a moment to get used to. Mario Kart 64 was developed and published by Nintendo on February 10, 1997. Mario Kart 64 does not control well. There are no options I could find that fix this. Basically, you have to turn the wheel to about 45 degrees to begin to get your character to turn, so it can feel completely unresponsive. And suddenly your character will just steer really hard, causing you to course correct, and then you're just zigzagging back and forth just trying to get a handle on the control. Beetle Adventure Racing was developed by Paradigm Entertainment and published by Electronic Arts. The game features Volkswagen Beetles racing around various tracks. The game has a single-player mode and a multiplayer mode. The game also features a ton of hidden paths and shortcuts throughout. The steering on this one is not great. There is a setting in the options for a steering wheel, but it changes the pedal configurations, and you can't alter the settings. So you're stuck with the default, and the default is touchy when using the wheel. Like Mario Kart, you have to basically turn the wheel to a 45-degree angle just to begin turning. I had to remove the wheel off my stand and just steer it on my lap. But once I'm able to get control, it's not too bad. San Francisco Rush 2049 was the third Rush game on the N64, originally developed by Atari Games for the arcades, that was later ported to the N64 by Midway Games. The home versions were released on September 7, 2000 in North America. The game features a futuristic San Francisco setting, with tracks that include steep hills, drops, loops, twists, and turns. The game designers in the 90s were much more optimistic about the future. I cannot imagine what San Francisco will actually look like in 2049. But the game plays well on here. The visuals are impressive considering how limited the N64 was, and the music is excellent. It still sounds like it's from the future. Overall, some racing games are greatly enhanced by playing with a steering wheel and pedals, and other games are just not made for it, or worth playing that way. I have the Crew 2 and Gran Turismo on my PS4 with a G29. Those games are cool and are amazing to look at, but I just want to play Rush. I want to play Ridge Racer. I just want to turn on a console and start driving. I feel like every time I turn on my PS4, I have to let it update, and I can't even play a game. Anyhow, if you're an N64 collector and you have these games, the steering wheel is worth having in your collection, especially if you're fond of Cruis'n USA, Cruis'n World, the San Francisco Rush series. All play pretty well in my opinion. I set it up in front of my 50-inch TV and it's not too bad. It's not arcade perfect. The graphics are The N64 does that thing where it stretches the textures very poorly all over the place. But honestly, for $14.99, I am happy with this experience. I had a lot of fun making this video. Let me know what games I missed in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content on this channel, and I will see you guys soon with another video.